Are we ready? Let me call the regular commission meeting to order at 6:10. Let's stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Gibson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Lindlow,
Here.
Commissioner McGee,
Here.
Commissioner Catagana,
Here.
Commissioner Hydes.
Here.
Okay, agenda modifications. Commissioners, are there any changes or remove items? Hearing none. Proclamation for Jimmy Butch.
It's in the book, isn't it?
That's usually in a folder, but it's in the,
We have it in, yeah.
Okay.
it's in there.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, we have a proclamation for Jimmy Butch Band on his passing. Whereas the City Commission of the City of Oak Hill has learned with great sorrow of the death of Jimmy Butch Band, Jr., former member of the City of Oak Hill's Planned Land Development and Regulation Committee. Whereas Jimmy Butch Band, Jr. was a fourth-generation native of Oak Hill, retired from a long career with FEC Railroad, and once proud owner of Van Inc. He spent his time sharing early morning breakfast with close friends, being a gun range officer, competition shooter, Oak Hill Planning and Land Development Regulation Committee member, and an avid NASCAR and wrestling fan. He spent years fishing the Mosquito Lagoon, a passion shared with his family and friends. He loved his two daughters, Tanya Petraka and Becky Crane, along with their husbands, Anthony and Tony, but was most proud of his 6 grandchildren, Colton, Trace, Luke, Jarrett, Tegan, and Tessa. He loved his brother Glenn Band and his family, Nancy, Jenna, and Kyle. Whereas his integrity, ability, and devotion to his city, its citizens, and his family enable him to make substantial and valuable contribution to the City of Oak Hill. Now therefore bestowed on me, Mayor of the City of Oak Hill, the City Commission of the City of Oak Hill, that by the death of Jimmy Butch Band Jr., the City of Oak Hill has been deprived of a valued and loved citizen. And be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation, suitably embossed, be sent to the family of the late Jimmy Butch Band Jr. in testimony of our sympathy of the City of Oak Hill in their bereavement. In witness thereof, I have hereupon set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Oak Hill, Florida, be affixed on this 23rd day of September 2024. Okay. Moving forward. Citizens' participation, public input, non-agenda items. If anyone in the audience wishes to speak during public participation, please fill out the form found on the back table and place it in the basket next to the clerk. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak on non-agenda items?
Yes, sir. Danya DeWeese.
Sorry to hold you up, Don.
Oh, it's okay, it's not even dark yet, wait till next week, or 2 weeks. Donna DeWeese, 243 Adams Street, Oak Hill. When the sun goes down, my house is so bright, it glows, and everybody can find my house. I don't like it yellow, but that's what color the guy painted it. Okay, having grown up with my father being in the shrimp business, we had to watch the weather. And if any of you have not seen the weather, we have a hurricane headed our way. And the windows in the New Creation Church, the Blue Church, 150 Oak Street, have been checked, and they are by the builder, and they are hurricane proof. And Rocco Vaglica. And he assured us the windows are hurricane windows, and the elders at that church will make the decision if we are going to be able to, if we need to, have a shelter again this time. So if the city would like to assist us, buy us some hot dogs, give us some money, we would be glad to have it. But I wanted you guys to know what we're up to. The first time we had it, the only time we've had it, the police officer rode around like he didn't know what we were doing. So I want everybody to know what we're doing. We're trying to take care of people who are in mobile homes that are not steady, and our neighbors who live in the woods. All right?
Thank you, Donya.
Thank you.
Jim Montgomery.
Here I go again. I live at 119 North Gaines, and there is a dilapidated house next to mine that I wasn't concerned about it, but now somebody's working on trying to fix the house up, and I think the house ought to be condemned. I have spoke to Dennis and Mike about it, so at this point, they're not willing to condemn the house. But at least I would think that if any construction work is done on the house is as bad a shape as it is in, I would think it would have to comply with all the codes that are in place today, such as hurricane codes. Right now, they've jacked the house. Somebody has jacked the house up, and they don't know what they're doing, and that's not here or there. It's just I think it ought to be done properly, and somebody ought to be responsible for seeing that it's done properly. So maybe even do you not need a permit to do anything? Well,
Are you saying there's no, have you talked to them and there's
I've
no
talked to
permit?
Dennis, and Dennis is trying to work with me. I'm not saying Dennis is not doing his job. I'm asking you all, what do you all think about this house?
Any work they should be doing, it should require a permit.
But
Cut-
my
cut and
question
dry.
is, do you all think the house should be condemned or not?
We
They
can't see the
can't really
house.
make that decision because there's a process for condemning a house, and it starts with the building official, who then comes before this body and presents evidence that the structure constitutes a threat to the public health, welfare, and safety. So if Dennis thinks it qualifies, then Dennis needs to bring it to this commission. If Dennis doesn't think it qualifies, then it won't make its way to this commission. That's up to Dennis to decide.
Okay, but I at least like something to,
Well, if Dennis is looking into it, the work is required per Florida Building Code. We don't have our own building code. We have the Florida Building Code. Dennis makes sure all work is done pursuant to the Florida Building Code. And, Jerome can follow up with Dennis to make sure they're pulling permits when needed and they're following all the necessary steps. With an old house and you're remodeling it, there is a point under the Florida Building Code where if the value, the cost of the new work, it goes over a
Exactly.
certain
That's a
percentage
exactly.
over the value of the existing home, which very easily could be here, then you've got to bring everything up to current code. So Dennis knows the Florida Building Code much better than I, but Jerome can talk to Dennis about that just to confirm all that's being followed. But that's how that process works.
I just was trying to get some help.
Well, you just got it. So, I think so. But, we'll confirm that it's going through here. This body really can't help you.
Okay.
Unless Dennis says, yeah, this needs to be condemned. And then usually condemnation, before we declare a house, condemned and tear it down, it starts with code enforcement. They get cited for all these different codes that they need to fix, and they don't. And then the condition continues to deteriorate where it becomes a public nuisance. And then once it becomes a public nuisance, then Dennis can bring it to this body and present the evidence that this body can make a decision on that, yes, this constitutes a threat to the general health, welfare, and public benefit of the public. And then this commission can order it to be either fixed within a certain period of time or demolished. So there's a process in place, but honestly, Dennis has to trigger all of that.
I'm aware. I just thought I could get some help.
You got it.
Thank you, sir. Next?
Paul Davis.
Paul Davis, 226 Gary Avenue. I'd like to discuss the flooding on Gary Avenue. The last rainfall on the 14th, the street was absolutely flooded. I don't know, I know it was a bad storm, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as the hurricane in 2016, but the water was just as deep. Now, somebody needs to come down there and they need to clear out that drain going into the lagoon. I have pictures, if I could show them to you. If you could fire up one of them TVs, we could let you look at them if you want to, or I could send them to you later on, but it was about halfway between up to my knee. So, I mean, it's getting deep and I don't know if when they put in the sewers and they pumped all that mud down there, if it never got cleaned out, or the plumbers who are coming in, connecting the pits, pumping more mud in there. I think they're just not working. It's, you can't really see that, but
Oh, yeah, you can see it.
it goes up about 8 houses, and I'm at my house, and there's,
8 more.
3 houses behind me.
Have to put that on the list for streets and roads.
If we have a hurricane, there's gonna be 3 or 4 houses that are gonna be underwater.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
All right, one other thing,
Yes, sir.
while I'm on my right here. About a year ago, I was assured that when they were finishing up on the sewers, that they were gonna re-put all those swales back into the driveways. And that has never happened. So all of the houses on the left-hand side of the street on Gary, I can't speak to any of the other streets, all that water, well, I'll just say, runs off your roof, comes down a drain, into your driveway, and instead of being absorbed by that first 20 feet of easement that's out there, so it gets a chance to percolate into the soil, runs right out into the street and down the block to the low point. So that's hurting everything too. So I don't quite, I think it's,
We just fixed a swell over on Gary Avenue.
you fixed 2 of them.
2 of them, okay.
Yeah, you got about 15 more to go. It's like Title 21, Section 298 or something like that on drainage.
Okay,
So, yeah, I mean, that needs to be addressed. I was assured a year ago that was going to be corrected, and nothing's ever happened. They just kept building the driveways the wrong way. Thank you.
We'll get on it, Paul. Thank you. Next?
Ricky Taylor.
Hello, Commission. Just for something to think about, with all the approvals of the current developments by our current Commission, how will we protect the surrounding homes from flooding caused by the increased impervious coverage and altered land elevations? Beeden Hunt has estimated it will cost $22 million to update and clean our stormwater systems and ditches to prevent flooding. I understand each development is required to manage its own runoff, but many are located near stormwater ditches. Will any of the developers contribute to the cost for the stormwater updates? And do their studies account for additional runoff from Edgewater that could potentially cause flooding in Oak Hill? I ask because the calendar's filling up with special meetings to expedite permitting for these new developments to be approved ASAP. Thank you.
Janet Shearer.
Well, I didn't plan that, but this is a perfect segue to what Mr. Taylor was talking about. Janet Shiro, 148 Williams Street. I am here tonight to bring to the city's attention something that impacts the proposed Lighthouse Cove North PUD amendment. I know the PUD public hearing isn't scheduled until next month. However, I wanted to alert all parties in a timely fashion rather than waiting until the hearing. First, the city paid Mead and Hunt close to $70,000 to update Oak Hill's stormwater master plan, which was provided to the city in November of last year. Although it was an expensive endeavor, everyone agreed on its importance to have a plan to address current and future flooding issues, as well as the water quality in the lagoon. In fact, the importance of the master plan was emphasized in the city's comp plan. Policy 1.9.2 of the comp plan says the city of Oak Hill has amended its LDRs to include as a part of the development review process the effects of these proposed developments upon the findings of the stormwater master plan. The master plan addresses stormwater throughout the city. I'm here tonight to focus on the Golden Bay Basin strictly because of the Lighthouse Cove North PUD amendment. The Lighthouse Cove property is part of the Golden Bay Drainage Basin. It covers 574 acres. The basin carries water from the west side of US 1, across US 1, through the Lighthouse Cove property, and then into the lagoon. The plan includes Mead and Hunt's recommendations to correct existing deficiencies within the basins. An evaluation was performed for this basin, and there are several ponds that the Stormwater Master Plan points out as necessary to help with both the treatment of water and especially the treatment of water before it hits the lagoon, which in this case is one of the ponds. The pond is, that they are proposing in the Stormwater Master Plan encompasses the proposed Lighthouse Cove North PUD that you have under consideration right now. Specifically, Pond 1 that they are saying is necessary includes that 5.5 acres that they are trying to bring into the PUD. In summary, the property identified in the master plan for the pond includes the 5.5 acre piece along with adjacent land. Mr. Warlick currently has a proposed amendment in process asking for that 5.5 acres to be added to the PUD and asking for a change in permitted lot sizes. To meet your comp plan requirements, the city needs to ensure that this proposed PUD is addressing the recommendations in the master plan. If the PUD is approved by the city as it's currently proposed by the developer will have no incentive to come to the table to negotiate a regional pond location. The city should sit down with the developer and come up with a win-win for both sides, where he can get the smaller lots he is requesting and the city can get this important pond to address the stormwater issues as outlined in the city's master plan. Addressing this at this point in the process is critical to show that you are being consistent with your comp plan and that you're following your stormwater master plan. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else? Okay, thanks, everybody. Consent agenda. Special meeting minutes, first reading, tentative millage and budget, September the 5th, 2024. Commission meeting minutes, September the 9th, 2024. Special meeting minutes, solid waste assessment fee, September 10th, 2024. Workshop, Historical Preservation Board, September 11th, 2024. Workshop, Interlocal Service Boundary Agreement, September the 11th, 2024. Commissioners?
I've reviewed them. I make a motion that we pass the minutes for September 5th, 2024, and September 9th, 2024, September 10th, 2024, September 11th, 24, and the follow-up meeting on the interlocal service boundary on September 11th, 2024.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion? Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Katigano.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
Good job, Drew.
Okay, next thing up is city administration reports. Mr. Adams.
Yes, sir, just bringing a couple items to your attention that we've been able to complete. First one was for the RFP for new banking services. That RFP is live now, and I'm waiting to see who responds and what services they'll be able to offer the city. I've contacted UCF to see if we could use their internship program to see if we can get an intern to assist us with planning matters as far as working on these developments and keeping everything straight so that we can do things properly. The sheriff's contract has been signed and forwarded to them. Also, the Halifax Humane Society contract has been signed. Working on the annual stormwater permit from the DEP. They've notified us of it being time to renew that permit. So I'm working on getting that ready to send off to them by this week. Contacted the county to see if there's the possibility of entering into a partnership with them for ditch cleaning. With Oak Hill being so far south, it seems like there's a problem getting anyone really to come down here to do any kind of work. We don't have the equipment necessary to clean the ditches. I'm trying to see if the county would be amenable to entering into that agreement where we could either borrow the equipment from them or they loan, we pay for the fuel. If that's the case, at least we would take care of our ditches plus their ditches. So it would be a win-win, I think. We'd have our ditches cleaned, and they wouldn't have to come all the way down here and spend all that time and effort to get the manpower to do the work.
Need to reach out to the past administrator. Because we've got a contract with Volusia County
Right.
We do.
to clean out the ditches.
Okay.
And we pay for the equipment operator, the equipment, and a dump truck is what's in, is what I remember.
Yep.
Okay.
So just reach out
There is
to
a
her.
contract.
It might be in data files. I haven't looked.
What? Well, just in speaking with the people at the county, no one has ever brought that up.
They're not gonna bring it up.
We definitely, because I asked them when I was looking into this.
Yeah.
And I contacted one of our county councilmen, and he had somebody from the county that was in charge of that program. I have the emails if that would be helpful.
Well, it probably would. Yes, thank you, Joe. Solid
The
waste.
solid waste assessment fee that has been sent to the property appraiser for the upcoming fiscal year, and the reimbursements for the Indian Harbor septic to sewer project. We've submitted our first 3 reimbursements to the state for processing. We should be getting back approximately $217,000.
270,
Yes.
17.
17. How much? 217.
Anything else, Mr. Adams?
No, sir.
All right. City attorney?
No comment.
He seems to be here.
Nothing from the planner? City engineer? Mead and Hunt, fiscal year 25 scope of services.
So what you have before you, sir, is the scope of services, the contract from Mead and Hunt for the upcoming fiscal year. I previously brought this to the commission and they'd asked to get additional detail from Mead and Hunt as far as what is covered. They have provided a revised document that shows, gives a little bit more detail as far as what their services will include. Plan reviewing and reviewing permits, code changes, technical assistance, and aiding with collaboration with local municipalities. The work is estimated to be approximately $3,000. There's another $40,000 that they expect will be charged to developers for reviewing their submissions. So it's before you for discussion and direction.
Commissioners?
Are we approving both of these at this time? Because I have some questions on the other one. No?
This is just number one.
Just for number one? Okay.
Good number one, yeah.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Mead and Hunt. Compensation for $3,000 from the city and $40,000 from the developers.
Second.
Discussion from commissioners?
Is this like an as it happens thing with the developers?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And with the city too. I mean, they're projecting based on, I guess, history, what it would be, but, you know, if y'all needed something big engineering-wise to come up that they had to work on, that would probably deviate this. Just like if there weren't as many projects as they anticipated, that would be lower.
So even the city's 3,000 wouldn't get paid until they actually,
Used it, yeah.
I got you.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it? Any comments or questions from the citizens?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike Arman, Magdalene. I have run into Mead and Hunt on my small, non-controversial development that I'm doing of 15 whole houses. Mead and Hunt, I've requested an itemized bill from Mead and Hunt because what they do is they send a bill to the city, this development, this much money. City doesn't need an itemization, I do. I've sent them a letter, can you tell me where you spent my money? Because it is my money. I've been ignored. They had a laundry list of inapplicable requests and items. They wanted the original FAA plans for the airstrip, which I don't own, from 50 years ago. They talked about septic to sewer, you gotta hook up. Well, I'm west of US 1, I'm west of the railroad, and I'm more than 200 feet from any city sewer. Oh, you don't need water on the property. Did you look at the plans? Here's a lake that's got at least 1 million gallons of water in it. And I would like to see an itemization. I want to know who did what, who looked at what, and how much they charged me for it. Because at this point, it looks like Mead and Hunt is just running the meter on me and everybody else without accountability. And the city has no choice but, hey, write them a check, because that's in the contract. I want to know what I'm paying for. You don't take your car in and say, okay, how much to fix it? $1 million. What did you do? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Just give me $1 million. I'm not happy with Mead and Hunt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Bracy.
.196 Westbrook Circle. Going back to number 6, county partnership with the ditches. I just want to touch on something. It's been an ongoing problem. Our ditch that actually runs right into Lighthouse Cove. That's the one in my backyard, Mayor. And we went for a ride, remember?
Yep.
We got a situation, Council, where the people on the west side of Ward Drive, they own about 30 feet. No, excuse me, the east side of Ward Drive, they own about 30 feet on the west side of the ditch, okay? I've had your code enforcement, the mayor, we went for a ride a couple years ago. A gentleman back there put a gate up. It's not even on his land. And why I'm mentioning this, because you're on number 6 tonight, they couldn't clean the ditch. They went all the way from US 1, front of Lighthouse Cove there, and they come up to the gate. And I talked to the guy who runs the Spider. He said, Jeff, we couldn't get through the gate. We don't have a key. I don't know how we're going to do this. He says the gates on his property, which is bogus. Cindy West, her property goes across the ditch. He also, when he cleared the property 3-4 months ago, he took all the concrete and the debris and he piled onto the other people's land, which lives in Ireland. Okay? Kind of hard to visualize that when you're in Ireland. It's kind of a situation for Mike too, because Mike says, well, I can cite the people who own the property for the gate because there was never a permit to put the gate up. They've used this, and I remember the ditch being moved in 1980 by James Cameron when he built the subdivision over there on Ward Drive. So I'm asking for a little help here. If we can't get the ditch cleaned out because there's a gate there, the gate's on somebody else's property, what do we do? Now, the attorney and I have talked about this over the phone. He said the person who owns the land can pick up the gate, set it on his property. Well, then the code enforcement says, no, you can't pick up the gate and move it because it's his property. So we got a hurricane coming. Last time there was 2 foot of water in my backyard. Who knows what it's going to be this time? So you got any ideas, Council?
We faced this before, Jeff, and I've seen that on other areas in there, because like I've let them come onto my property to clean the ditch up, but there's several people around there that won't let them on their property. All right, so the ditch that goes by there or on there, they can't get to it, and I haven't heard of any recourse to that, and we've got a bit of an issue with that. We're still working on trying to get access to some of that drain pipe that's underneath South Gain Street and goes over there that way, that's on personal property. I don't know that we've got a resolution to that yet.
Steve, Commissioner McGee, the property is owned by the other person. The other person's asked the code enforcement to have it removed. Code enforcement says, Mike says it's a civil matter. I talked with the attorney says, well, if it's her property and she's got a survey, then she can pick the gate up and move it.
Okay.
What she should do.
Well, could you send a letter? Could the city send a letter to Mrs. West on Ward Drive stating that it's your property, you can remove that gate?
Now I'm speaking out of turn.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I don't know the exact, but I talked to Mike McGrath about this. And he said that this is a difficult situation legally.
Catch 22.
Yes. My question to you, you know the lady, right?
I know her very well.
There's the opinion that she can remove that fence. I don't think she's physically capable of removing it, but she, as the property owner, can remove it off her property. The ball is in her court. Are you following me?
I follow you, Mayor, but, you know, to stand back behind her as a city, could we have the code enforcement send her a letter stating that the gate is your gate, it's on your property? You have all rights to remove it?
Yeah, I think she needs to make darn sure the gate's on her property. That's one. Is, you know, she needs to make 100% sure, get a new accurate survey, and then as property owner, she has the right to remove it. She may need a permit from the city to remove it. But
She didn't put it there, Counselor.
Huh?
She didn't put it there.
It doesn't matter, she may need a permit, you need a demolition permit if you didn't, even though you didn't put the house there. If you're gonna go tear down the house, you got the demolition permit. So I don't know how big it is.
It's
The other
This
thing
is
I
wide
would-
as your bench, right here.
It's a cow gate.
Yeah, I mean, you may need, I said you may need, I don't know when the city requires a permit to do work, but when you demolish something, you need a permit to demolish it. And then that would be a city authorization that you're looking for her to remove it.
Counselor, there was never a permit pulled to put it up.
There's two permits, one to put it up, one to put it
There
down.
was never a permit to put it
But
up.
that doesn't mean you don't get the permit to take it down. I mean, but she just needs to make sure it's her property, get a survey, don't guess, don't assume, get a very good survey, and then the other thing I would do is I would survey, how did this ditch get there? Is
County.
Is it an easement?
Mosquito
Back,
control.
The
way
ditch.
back when.
So we got to.
Let's go back in time,
But
Counselor.
their
Counselor,
easements go,
time out.
well, easements not only address, so it's either a dedicated easement, it's in the plat somewhere, or it's a prescriptive easement, because the county's had it there, which means they would also have a prescriptive easement over use, maintenance. So they may have a maintenance easement where nobody could say, you can't go along that ditch.
If they can't clean out the ditch, what do you got?
Why can't they clean out the ditch?
Because the gate is locked.
But if they have an easement, if that gate's on the easement, county can remove it. And no property owner can tell the county, don't come
It's
on my
not an
property.
easement, it's her property.
But there's well, I'm talking about the ditch. The ditch got there somehow. There's it's either a dedicated easement or it's a prescriptive easement.
Scott,
It's
way
one or
back
the other.
when they dug those ditches and mosquito control and all that, they didn't get easements.
Well, but they got one over time by use, prescription. Now, that's in the law.
By the use, but
Yeah.
they've never filed it. It's,
I don't know that you have to file it. So-
Commissioner McGee,
Okay.
I talked to the guy, he's almost ready to retire, that runs the spider. His exact words were, the gate isn't open,
Well, you're talking
we're
about
not
the
coming
gate.
through it.
I'm talking about the ditch. You got two issues here.
Wait a minute.
You're talking about your gate and a ditch.
You're making it complicated.
I'm not making it.
Yeah, you are. You're not listening.
Yeah, I'm listening.
There's a road, there's
I listen to you
a
more
piece
than
of
most people
ground, and there's the ditch. They can't get
I know
across
that.
the piece of ground
Duh, I
to
know
clean
that.
out the ditch.
If that piece of ground is hers, I would get a survey and remove the gate. But just make sure it's her property. Just make certain it's her property. Get a survey. Does she have a survey?
need to go. You got to go.
Thanks, Jeff.
You have got to go. You are senseless.
What?
You are senseless.
Jeff, I just said, make sure she's the owner of the property.
The other day, that was not the verbiage you said.
That, when I told you, didn't I tell you the other day, she can remove it from her property? Didn't I?
But now you're saying, you're adding, better make sure there's a survey, better make sure.
Better make sure it's hers.
It is her property.
Yeah, you said it was her property. I'm just saying, make sure it's her property.
Now she's got to get a permit.
Well, that would be definitely the approval that you're
Where
looking
does
for
the
from the
city
city.
step in as a code enforcement or the city to say, hey, this has got to go?
Well, no, that's a different issue, and I agree. If somebody's put up a gate without a permit, then they should be cited. But you're saying, can she remove something from her property? I say, yes. She can remove it. Would it need a permit? Possibly from the city, they ought to check. but I would just make certain it's her property before you go and remove it. That's what I'm saying.
Point of
Okay.
order. Meeting Hunt, fiscal year 25 scope and services. We have a motion and a second.
We have more public comments.
Oh, okay. On this issue.
Yes.
Okay.
Carrie Werner.
Carrie Werning, Indian Creek Road. Meaden Hunt has in there $3,000 for the city work, $40,000 for contractors and developers that are paid. We have a change order coming up before this board in the next item for $20,000. The bill they failed to send out in a timely manner with work being done back as far as 2023. How can we be guaranteed that they will bill us so we can bill a developer in a timely manner? The city will not be able to go back to a developer a year later and say, oh, by the way, the engineer forgot to bill us. So here's a bill. What kind of protection does the city have so that something like this doesn't fall back on the citizens and the taxpayers? That's question one. Number two, in the scope of work, it still does not, I still do not see a termination statement. This was brought up by Mr. Catagano at the last time that this came before the commission. The commission asked Mr. Adams to have that added to the scope of work. I still do not see it mentioned anywhere in there. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not see any expiration date. So I ask that you send it back to Meaden Hunt and ask them to do what they were asked to do the first time.
Thank you.
I'm curious in that, what you brought up, but this is a 24-25 budget in there. So the termination is the end of the budget year, correct?
This is probably being provided under what's called a continuing contract, and the continuing contract would provide all that language.
I've asked for a copy of the contract, and all I got from Mr. Adams was just another statement from 2017, which is basically a scope of service, pretty much what we've got here right now.
There should be a continuing contract, because I know I've seen them. So there- Would you
I'd
agree
like
to
to
that?
see it.
Yeah, I would agree to that for a copy of the continuing contract.
Jerome, do we have a scope of service? I mean, do we have this contract?
What you have before you, that's what I found, what I gave to Ms. Werning is also what I found when I looked through our files. But I'll do as the attorney suggested and contact you for the continuing contract. I haven't seen that in our
I
records.
can't hear him, and I can't be the owner. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it makes sense, and I'd like to withdraw my motion in there until we get more information on what this, and get more detail on the scope of the contract here and what this is. I was under the impression we had the contract laid out. But
You want to withdraw your motion too?
I didn't make a motion.
you made the second, right?
Did I?
I made a
Okay,
motion.
yeah. I'll withdraw my second.
Motion died until further information.
I do have one other person who wanted to speak. Do you want to hear them still?
Sure.
Janet Shire.
I just wanted to point out for the record that Mead and Hunt was the company who wrote your stormwater master plan, and in the stormwater master plan, it says multiple times that this document should be used when doing development review to make sure if there's a pond they're requesting, then it's caught during the development review process. So with the Lighthouse Cove North PUD, obviously, the people who wrote the stormwater master plan are sitting over here. The reviewer for the plans is sitting over here, not knowing that they should be using this document as they're going through and reviewing. So, it's just some real sloppy work that should be corrected, because that's an important component. You have a lot of developments coming through, and I have a feeling that Lighthouse Cove North isn't the only one that probably has a proposed pond site on the property.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Volusia County Sheriff, deputies in the house.
You forgot item 2. What's the direction on that?
Is there anybody from Mead
Can I
and
make
Hunt
a
here?
statement to the deputy?
Yeah.
Deputy, I'd like to thank you guys in there. A couple of meetings ago, I asked a question about putting the smoke, the hazard that we were getting on there, and you guys putting it on your app in there. The next morning, it was on there, right? And I appreciate, I had several citizens contact me before and after that happened and thanking, but you guys made that happen, so thank you.
We've got a second on item 2, Mead and Hunt scope change, $20,344.47. Mr. Adams, did they indicate why this wasn't billed?
They didn't say why it wasn't billed. They said it was billed because it's additional services that they had to provide above and beyond what was in their contract.
They analyze anything?
Oh, yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to ask or make a comment. I guess it's not really a question, but so this 6 pages right here, I guess is an itemized bill.
Yes.
Do they give these to us every time they do work for us?
I wish I could tell you.
Because
No.
Mike here's an itemized bill for Mead and Hunt.
See, they do make itemized bills.
They can do.
Not to me.
Well, I would like to have Mead and Hunt here to ask some questions about this, because I have a problem with, it says air vac training observation for Richard Swartz. 8 hours at $149 for $1,200. What did he do? Just sit there and watch them air vac train them, or what? I mean,
I'm gonna say yes.
that's kind of crazy.
Hello.
Sat and watched them incorrectly install those connectors.
Yeah,
You got a market, they billed me $195 an hour.
yeah.
Yeah, but I know why.
That's a good question, because the county is supposed to be maintaining them.
Well, no,
Why are we
I understand that they had to be trained by AirVac, but I'm just wondering why we were being billed for Mead and Hunt to watch AirVac train them. It's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. To me, that's a,
They're not gonna do any of it.
no, they're not gonna do anything.
No. Right, I agree.
I don't think we should approve this until somebody from Mead and Hunt comes down here and explains all this.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm just going to Mead and Hunt. I have emails in September of 2017, where Mead and Hunt took over for Quentin L. Hampton, who had our continuing contract, and I reviewed and have comments on a continuing contract that was, I don't have the signed version, but it was done, I mean, I reviewed it in 2017, and the 2017 contract, continuing contract, does provide for a 30-day termination notice without cause. But I don't have the signed copy. So look in 2017, and it looks like we had Quentin L. Hampton as our engineer, and then Mead and Hunt, I don't know if they merged or what occurred, or they acquired them, but they took over for Quentin L. Hampton in 2017, and I reviewed a new contract in 2017. So, and I have the continuing contract unsigned, edited, so presumably there's a red one. A signed one somewhere.
So it's a consensus that we have Mead and Hunt discuss this with us.
Explain it, yeah.
Mr. Adams, can you arrange that at our,
And get you a copy of the signed, it's in 2017, should be sometime in September 2017. Signed continuing contract.
Mr. Adams, you're up. City administration matters.
First item is regarding water testing here at City Hall and at Nancy Cummings and Mary Louise Parks. The individual that formerly did the testing for us has retired.
Oh.
So I reached out to the county to see if that's a service that they could provide to us. And I was given pricing from them. They would provide the service of testing all 3 sites for $14,400 annually, plus $600 quarterly for collection and lab analysis. Actually, that's included in the $14,400 annually. It's $1,000 per month plus $600 quarterly for collection and lab analysis.
Were we paying that much for that gentleman to test everything?
No, we weren't. I don't remember the exact amount, but I don't believe it was this high.
I didn't think so either. Whoa.
Maybe
That's
we
a
should-
lot of money for that.
Maybe we should
Try to
try to get some bids or something.
Yeah.
Put our RFP out.
Yeah.
That seems to me to be the county's, I don't really want to do this, but I'll do it if you pay me enough.
Yeah, you give me enough money, then,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Call the rain soft guy, he'll come out and do it, just making a sales pitch.
The next item was cameras for the VIA Hall. I reached out to the same company that did the cameras here at City Hall for us. They went out and had a look. They'll be installing 6 cameras, 4 on the outside, 2 on the inside, for a total of $2,595.
Is this in conjunction with the state contract or what? I'm trying to remember why don't we need to do 3 bids if it's not a part of the,
We had reached out initially, what we did here, we got 3 quotes. Because we have that relationship with him already, I thought it would be best if we could just keep going with him since he already has our site that he works on. It would be good to have the same vendor work on the other site. But if you wish, I can go out for.
well, it makes sense to me. But,
If you don't ask, you won't know, that's for sure.
Thank you. I was over at VIA Hall and I looked at the remains of the security system. The security system consists of 4 cameras on the east side of the building and a control unit which lives in a closet, and it's my understanding the control unit is fried. I looked at the connectors on the cameras. The connectors are RJ45, which is a plastic rectangular internet connector. There is an adapter available which we'll let it connect to a standard security system, BNC, which is a twist lock, kind of like the one in your cable TV. I think those 4 cameras are probably okay. It's the main unit that's toast. I understand Mark from Streets and Roads has it. Leaf looked at it and said it's dead. Leaf is very good, but Leaf is a software guy. I'd like to take a look at it. It's possible it's not dead. A 4, 6, or 8 unit control box for those things runs under $200 all day long on eBay and Amazon. So if we got the adapters, we'd have 4 cameras and less than $200 in the whole system, if those cameras are good.
You have a way of testing that the cameras work?
Yes, if I can get the adapter, and they're about $20 each, I have a couple of those security systems right now in my hangar that work. And I'll bring one down, plug it in, and try it.
I have a question.
Sir?
Jerome, Mr. Adams, excuse me. This bid, are they Wi-Fi?
They are not Wi-Fi, they're hardwired. But you can, there's an app that you'll be able to view the cameras from your phone or from a computer.
That's from the controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the control box.
Okay.
I think the first thing to do is find out if the 4 cameras are any good, because that's the hassle. Somebody's got to go up a ladder, string a bunch of wires. You know, that's where the money's going to be.
Yeah.
So, should I get the adapter and try them?
Hold off.
Okay.
Drew Ann, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was there with Mark from Streets and Roads when the guy came. So if you don't mind me speaking to it, what was in place has not worked in over 3 years. They removed all of the interior because there was no internet in the building. City Administrator Adams has had that fixed. The guy came out, he looked at everything, he's like, why would you have 4 cameras here? 4 cameras, they all need to work, so you're gonna have to take down all those cameras and move them, because they literally all point here. Right at Chung Park. All 4 of them right next to each other, it doesn't make sense. And they're not the cameras that have the wider angle lens. So he's looking at like, I think he said 180, didn't it say, Jerome, like 180 angle? So you get like all the way out here rather than here. And the way he wants to put them around, he wants to put them so they're outside and inside. And all of the interior stuff that you want to test is gone. It was removed. It was removed well, before you were here, so probably well over a year and a half ago, because nothing worked. All of the bits and pieces, we've literally got just wires hanging in there. So it doesn't make sense. This guy wants to come in, he wants to hardwire it, but it will work off the Wi-Fi if it has to. And he's got a plan to move it around, ways to make it look good. I know it's a huge expense, but let's talk about the problems we have at Chung Park and some of the things that Streets and Roads has found when they've gone out there to clean. Bags of needles. Tanya has found needles around the park. People sleeping in the park. You know, everyone is working so hard to make that area nice. And I know it's a big expense and it's a lot to ask, but I think it's as much for the safety of our citizens to move forward with this as it is for the safety of the building and your property. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew Ann.
I have to agree with Drew. It sounds like a much superior system than what's there.
Well, she also made a point. I was talking to Tanya Wednesday, and she had an episode out there where there was somebody that came up there that frightened her, and she was there by herself. And so the safety side of that house is
Definitely want to have better
important.
pictures.
That's a driver too. So that was a good reminder there, Drew Ann, because Tanya said she was fearful when she was there by herself.
A lot goes on there at night.
Yeah, it was Wednesday one Wednesday afternoon.
Okay, I also volunteer and I do it on Wednesday nights, and I'm fearful when we put the flag up because there's homeless people all coming through. So just a heads up, there's other people too.
That's a good point. So, we need to make the place secure.
I say we go ahead and go.
How close to a 2.8 millimeter lens do you have to be standing to be able to get facial ID? Because if it's really close, I mean, it's probably from me to Scott. If you don't have it, the police can't use it.
That's one of the issues with private security.
This 2.8, every one of these cameras, that's wide. I mean, that's really wide,
Yeah.
to the point where it's like a fisheye. 4 is a little bit more, you probably could see up somebody's face, like all the way to the wall behind you there, Scott, you know. Something to think about, because maybe the police officer might be able to answer it, I don't know. But you gotta be right on top of a 2.8.
I'm not a photographer, I wouldn't know anything about the defer.
I'm kind of this thing where I think this should go out for 3 bids too, just to see if we can get it cheaper. It's supposed to anyway, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think we ought to go for 3 bids, but it also makes sense if they're close, having the same company, you know. But-
Yeah, if
but
they're close,
if
yeah,
they're-
absolutely.
You know, if somebody comes in $1,000 cheaper with a better camera system.
Same deal, yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna happen,
I'm just, yeah.
but I don't know.
You're right.
Mr. Adam, can you produce the other 2 bids?
Yes, I can get 2 more bids.
Okay. Yeah, by consensus, is that what we wish to do? By consensus,
Yes.
please do.
Jerome, can you ask the guy, when you're talking to him, like, how far away that he would have to be to get a positive ID on a face, on that kind of lens? Because it might not be the right choice. It might be, but we should probably at least look into it.
I don't know if it's a valid question.
I know I'm interrupting, but why is it $20,000? If you have your house.
It's not.
It's
2.
$25.95.
Yeah, $25.95.
So on the last, the previous item, I did not realize we had public input, so if that's okay with you, can we go back?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so for the water testing, I had Kerry Worming.
I was just mainly wanting to know what line item it was going to, but since we decided to go up for more bids, I'll retract.
Thank you, Carrie. CRI Auditor. Mr. Adams?
This is the letter of engagement from the company Carr, Riggs and Ingram that did the audits for us last time. This is for the upcoming year. They're proposing $30,000 to do the audit and $5,000 for each single audit. The last time we had 2 grants that they had to do the single audit from, so it would be the same thing again this year, so it would be a total of $40,000. 30 for the audit and 10 for the single audit of the 2 grants.
They did the best audit we've had in a long time.
I agree.
Yep.
And I encourage, I think we should use them again because they were very thorough.
Is that your motion?
Yes, my motion is to accept their submission for $30,000 for the audit and $5,000 for 2, each for single audit grants.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners' comments?
I do have a question where it says our fees. It says our fee for the financial statement audit will be $30,000. We will also prepare an MD&A as a non-attest service at management's request for $600. What does that mean? Any idea? In the actual agreement with the CRI? It's on the very, next to the last page for the signing, where it says our fees. I just didn't know what that MDA.
Read that again.
We will also prepare the MD&A as a non-attest service at management's request for $600. I don't know what that means.
I have to figure that one out. I don't know what that means either.
You don't pay it unless you request it, so
Okay.
probably figure it out before you request it.
I would. I was gonna have to pay extra money for it, yeah, for sure. That was the only question I had.
Any other comments?
I was just wondering, so in the past, we've used an auditor selection committee that was usually manned by Kristen Mellinger. We're not gonna do that this year, or?
We usually don't do it for every year. We usually retain an auditor, or most cities retain an auditor for a certain period of time, a number of years. And when that's up, you do go do the auditor selection committee. You don't, you do that on an annual basis. So there's probably.
How long did this set for?
You'd have to go back and see what their initial proposal was for.
I got you. I mean, I like this audit
They did a
company.
thorough job.
So I just was curious.
Yeah, it's usually, it's statutorily, and I think you can, I want to say it's typically like 4 or 5 years that you don't always, you can say no to the agreement and go out for proposals again, but they submit. You don't do the audit selection committee every year. You have an auditor for a certain period of time.
Gotcha.
For a state law.
Any other?
That's it for me.
Call for the vote?
We have a public comment.
Sorry, Carrie.
Okay. Two things. First, in reference to Mead and Hunt on that billing, do they submit us with an itemized bill for everything that they bill to us? And is someone in our office comparing this $20,000 bill to old bills to make sure that they're not double charging us? As far as the audit goes, I agree. I think this company is excellent. They did a great job. My concern is he's requesting $40,000. You only budgeted $28,000 for audits. So we have a shortfall here of $12,000. And I'd like to know where that money's coming from. Because our budget line 13,513,320 is for $28,000. So where's the $12,000 shortfall coming from? What account are we taking it out of?
My 20,000's never gonna get there.
The budget needs to be redone. Anybody got any ideas where it's coming from? Yeah. Any guesses? Okay. Homework to do. Find the money.
Anyone else?
No, that was it.
Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lindahl,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Catagano,
No.
Commissioner Hyatt,
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1. last item, Mr. Adams.
Let's see. I just had to notice that our next regular meeting will be on the 14th at 6 p.m. Can I move on to old business, sir?
Yes, sir.
Old business, the pit for Mr. Peterson. We received 2 quotes, one from Trails End and one from Coleman Plumbing. The one from Trails End came in at $4,985. The one from Coleman Plumbing came in at $17,785. We would still have to spend an additional $870 to purchase the pedestal and the radio. Those are the only 2 parts that we didn't have to do to complete the installation.
Why so much difference?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was
That
wondering.
blows me away.
That is huge.
It's like they didn't want to do it, but if you throw enough money at me, then yeah, okay.
Yeah, not sure why theirs is that much higher, because it's just to install the pit. And
It's
we have
$13,000
yeah,
difference.
and we have the
The same
equipment already.
work effort.
Well, I say we go with Trails End, then they're certainly a lot less.
Are people in Indian Harbor Estates having their sewer connected from those guys, this Trails End company?
I don't think so.
No? Just wondering.
They're from Migs. Yeah, he came down and everything and looked at it.
If everybody will remember, the contracting company that did the work installing those pits gave us a bid of a little over $7,000.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, so this bid falls more in line with them.
Yeah.
I tend to agree that Coleman Plumbing, man.
Yeah,
They got plenty to do with other.
To get that quote from Coleman's.
yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the I don't want to do it quote.
I make a motion that we accept the Trails End septic bid for $5,855.60 for installing and connecting the pit for Mr. Peterson.
Second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
I
sorry.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion from?
Just one. So if this project goes south on these guys, are they gonna have do we automatically check to see if they have insurance and all that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
They're a
Yes.
bonded company out in Milton.
Good. Good.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion. No other comments, questions? Nope.
It's about time.
We got
Yeah.
somebody who wishes to speak.
Carrie Wording,
I just want to know when the work can start. With Trails.
Whenever Trails End has an opportunity.
If you let me know whenever he says, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Call for the vote?
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes.
Commissioner Catigano,
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Yes.
We have no new business. City goals still remain the same. Economic development. Mike Garman.
You've listened to me enough tonight, so I'll be brief. Mark McMichael from Florida Power and Light sent me an email, which I got at like 2 minutes to 5. He wanted to know if Mark Mays got a permit up here on US 1 and Ariel, because Mark wants 380 volt 3-phase, and without a permit, Mark McMichael can't do any engineering. Did Mays get a permit to put his buildings up? Or should I ask Dennis or Mike tomorrow?
I can only say he was in here with Dennis, but I can't say
Okay,
if permits were issued. But
Okay.
he did come in and talk to them.
all right, I'll talk to them tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's from the meeting, huh? Is it in this?
Right. It was in, yeah, I took it out of there.
Public Works,
I'll
you don't
give it
have
to him.
anything, Mr. Adams? No, sir. Okay. Comments, concerns from commissioners? Vice Mayor?
Just everybody keep their eye on the weather. There's a storm out there in the Gulf that could come our way and get caught with our pants down.
It's
so to
already a
speak.
category 2.
They said it would develop rapidly, so they weren't lying. That's all.
And Mr. Hyatt
Nothing?
and Mr. Catagono.
Yeah, this one's off the wall. I was taking my boat out today down at LaFeels, and Mark DeWeese came over and started telling me about that the night before he had seen this gray or beige colored van, and they were throwing stuff at night into the dumpster up at Mary DeWeese Park, and he just told me to mention it at the meeting today. He said he doesn't want that to turn into like engine blocks and, you know,
Well, that's
things
what
like that.
happened.
Yeah.
Gray van, huh?
He said I think he said it was tan.
And
Right. So maybe when we get those cameras, we can point one in that direction or something. That's all I have, though.
oh, goodness. Mr. McGee?
Yeah, they had an excellent Little League game, series of games this weekend. They opened the fall season up. The T-ballers were just as cute as they could be. They playing Friday afternoon. And then Saturday morning, they had 4 games, 2 over at Nancy Cummings and 2 at Mary DeWeese Park, right? And had good crowds and everything. It was heartwarming to see the community coming together and watching those kids play and having a good time. And saw the first thing I've ever seen, the first triple play by a single player. He caught the ball, he tagged out the runner that had left first base, then he ran to second base and tagged in.
Wow. he was
One
good.
kid performed a
He's
triple
a
play.
star.
So,
He was the MVP.
you guys come out and watch. The games are Friday afternoons for T-ball and Saturdays are for the 8 through 15s. I think next week is most of them are at New Smyrna. Right. So, but then we're rotating back, but we're in the league now with New Smyrna. So, but it's amazing to watch those kids playing. So.
My only comment is a safety request of staff. The yellow lines that used to be between the VA and the library, where the school crossing used to be, have over the years diminished and gone. I'd like to see them repainted. Yes.
Crosswalk there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where the sign is that somebody keeps running over, sticking up there that says, you know, stop for
Yes, do
pedestrians.
not run over.
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.